Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka.
And I'm Yatin Mota.
Well, Yatin, it was clearly a day of breather when it comes to the bulls. They were cooling their heels after a two-day stellar run that catapulted the indices to their record highs, right? So the Nifty ended just about above that 20,400 mark. Even the Sensex, I think, managed to hold on to 71,300 mark, right? Broad end of the markets were doing good. They were in fine fettle with the mid-caps gaining somewhere around 0.2%. In fact, small caps were exhibiting more strength. If you look at the advance decline ratio, Yatin, in favor of gainers, 1.2:1 is the kind of advance decline ratio. And sectorally, banks came under a fair bit of profit booking today, and so did Realty. FMCG continues to be a laggard. But on the flip side, you had metals and pharma. These two pockets did fairly well today. If you look at some of the gainers, some of the two-wheeler stocks were doing well today, Yatin. Bajaj Auto, Eicher as well did well. You had Hindalco from the metals pack, Adani Ports, Sun Pharma, Bajaj Finance as well doing well today. On the flip side, Power Grid, ICICI Bank, JSW Steel, ITC and IndusInd Bank were among the laggards. But Yatin, just like it's a story every other day, broader market saw a fair of movers today. Let's talk about IRCTC as well. The stock hit of 20-month high. In fact, SpiceJet was up 20% as well.
Correct.
So lots of movers and shakers. Take us through some of them.
So SpiceJet, obviously, there was statement coming in that SpiceJet would be interested in bidding for Go Air, and apart from that, we also had SpiceJet has gained market share for the month of November. So I think these were the two reasons why SpiceJet as a stock was up, and obviously they announced a very big fundraising last week, because of which the stock is anyways in focus. What are also in focus is IRCTC, because the management in a exchange notification last week said that they are looking to diversify their catering services beyond railways. So the government canteens, the courtrooms, wherein the court will have a canteen area. They would like to explore that kind of business moving ahead. So I think on the plans of diversification and also on the statement of the railway minister, when he is planning to add 30% fresh capacity for passenger trains in the next few years, probably augurs well for companies like IRCTC. And being a railway stock or a stock which is close to railways, that stock has anyways shown underperformance. So I think there is some catch-up rally happening in there. BDL, that stock was up 10%, Prince Pipes, Teamlease, TTML, all these stocks were doing well in trade. So overall, it was a good day of trade for mid-caps, given the fact that the markets were range-bound. Mid-caps did outperform the overall benchmark indices.
Right, I think if you look at the Nifty 500 losers, Union Bank was among them. I think over the weekend there was some buzz about these PSU banking mergers, which were of course refuted by the finance ministry. But from the four candidates, I think UCO Bank saw a good up move come in. But aside of that, most of the PSU banks were in the red. But on that note, let's take a look at some of the stocks that are on our radar. Of course, Yatin, starting with SpiceJet, a 20% kind of an up move coming in there. Of course, it has evinced interest in the Wadia's grounded airline, which is called Go First. It was earlier called Go Air, but then they changed the name to or branding to Go First. Of course, in a letter to the resolution professional of the airline, SpiceJet has sought time to conduct its own due diligence and evaluate the opportunity as well. Two other suitors have evinced interest, starting with Sharjah-based Sky One, and there is Safriq, an investment firm focused out of Africa. Now, these suitors have not really indicated what kind of bid they will put in for the airline. But aside of that, the resolution professional has also conducting, or in fact, it is conducting a due diligence after the new interest that has come in, and evaluating whether or not these parties make the cut. Or make the eligibility cut or not. Now, the committee of creditors is expected to meet later this week, and then they will take a call. But if you look at SpiceJet, as you mentioned, it has got board approval to raise somewhere around 2,250 crore rupees via preferential allotment equity as well as warrants, right? And SpiceJet has indicated that it is open to using a part of that fund to bid for this particular airline. But if you look at SpiceJet, when it comes to acquiring Go First, the first question that comes to mind is what exactly are they acquiring? Because all the aircrafts of Go First have been leased. So the lessors will be looking to gain access to those leased aircrafts, right? So in terms of assets, the street should be asking what is it that SpiceJet is actually looking to acquire, Yatin. But aside of that, if you look at the financials of SpiceJet, I mean, they have somewhere around 7,000 crore worth of borrowings. So even they have to repay their borrowings, right? So you'll have to see how really the entire thought of acquiring this particular airline works out for SpiceJet, because a lot needs to be thought about when it comes to this acquisition. Yatin.
Absolutely, and apart from acquisition, I think the main thing is that they have been gaining market share, and number two is the much awaited fundraise, which was required to basically run the airline operator more efficient with good capital. I think that has come in. So anyways, the stock has seen some bit of excitement, but the stock which is on my radar is Eicher Motors, one of the top gainers in the Nifty today. Now, if you look at Eicher Motors, obviously it is in focus given the fact that brokerages have been bullish on the counter. Now, if you look at Citi, it has a buy call on Eicher Motors with the target of 4,700. Obviously, their new Himalayan motorcycle is expected to do well, get in some good volumes. The pricing is also quite competitive. And moving ahead, the kind of elevation in the competition, Royal Enfield volume growth has been quite steady. So earlier there were market concerns that there will be some impact on volumes, there will be some impact on bookings. Nothing is seen as of now. In fact, the November sales of 5% month-on-month decline in overall volumes, but it was a gain of 13% year-on-year. November has seen a 19% volume growth. Obviously, there is some seasonality relating to the festive sales because the base is higher to the previous month, but the company is now looking to expand in the export markets as well, which brokers believe that could help garner better volumes. In fact, now Citi has a better P multiple of 29 times versus 28 times earlier for forward earnings, which means that from here on Citi does expect a good up move in the shares of Eicher Motors.
Right, not just Citi, Yatin, Jefferies also reiterated its buy rating with the target price which was higher by about 22% on Eicher Motors, and most of the brokerages are maintaining that competition concerns were overdone because of course it is a cult motorcycle and has a large fan following as well. But with that, let me take a look at the second stock that is on my radar today, Yatin, Pratap Snacks. So this is a Moneycontrol exclusive that promoters are in talks with potential buyers to sell a controlling stake in the snack maker, right? And that's, as I mentioned, Moneycontrol exclusive. And the stake sale may see the exit of founders who hold somewhere around 22% stake, the Mehta and Kumat families. Negotiations for stake sale are being led by Sequoia Capital, and some bulge bracket private equity giants as well as large FMCG companies have been approached. If you look at recent action, promoters had sold somewhere around 5.4% stake back in November for somewhere around 105 crore rupees through open market transactions, and GDN Investments was one party that had bought 1% stake, and at that point of time the stock had seen a fairly good interest from the market. It was up somewhere around 10 to 15% in a matter of 2 days, and even today the stock was up 2.5% or thereabouts. Now Sequoia Capital first invested in the company back in 2011, and it has participated in multiple funding rounds ever since. And in June 2016 we had another private equity firm, a domestic private equity firm, Fairing Capital, that had invested somewhere around 45 crore rupees in the company. Of course, we know that the company listed back in 2017, and it listed at a good premium. But of course, Pratap Snacks is hoping to expand further in the northern part of the country, particularly in Jammu. And there have been quite a few stake sales that have taken place thus far, and they are also in talks for another stake sale. We'll have to see how this story really unfolds and which are the PE funds or any FMCG firms with which they manage to strike a deal, Yatin.
Absolutely, and I think these are a few companies which have grown quite steadily, but now the fact that the promoters want to encash the overall quantum of money made, probably there could be some private equity players or few private buyers which could be interested in the counter. I think Nandita, with that it's a wrap on this closing bell edition. Obviously, for more news and updates, do watch Moneycontrol, and Nandita also will be there tomorrow morning with her daily dose of what to watch out for in the Indian stock markets, which are clearly trading at record levels.
Well, with that, thanks a lot for tuning in. Of course, stay tuned to Moneycontrol for all your other news and updates.